So let's talk about the game between the Lakers and the OKC Thunder yesterday because LA sent a strong message to OKC. And my biggest takeaway from the game is OKC does have some flaws. And I did talk about this on my last video about OKC where they could end up falling short from winning the championship. And one of those things is the lack of size at their guard position, wing position. Outside of SGA, a lot of guys are under 6'6", and you could really exploit those matchups if you can take care of the basketball because even with the lack of size, OKC is going to give effort on defense. They're going to apply ball pressure. They're going to try to create turnovers. So if you're not crisp with your passes and you're not taking care of the ball, that's where OKC is at their best. And LA did a really good job playmaking, making the right reads, and also crashing the glass. There was moments where they had a missed shot. LeBron James crashed the boards, got an easy layup. And they also had Chet and Hartenstein out on the perimeter on Luka. He's able to exploit that matchup as well. And then when you had Case and Wallace on Luka, all he did was just get to the middle of the lane, draw fouls, shoot the mid-range, and you just couldn't stop him. Yeah, LeBron James as well. He had Alex Caruso at one point in the game on him, just posted him, shot right over him. So the Lakers did a really good job of taking advantage of their matchups and not turning the ball over. That was key in this game. They also shot the three ball at an insane clip. They were at like 69% in the first half. It dipped down to 30% in the second half. But by the time, we got to the third quarter, they extended the lead to like 25 points. I know OKC made a push at the beginning of the third quarter. It got to like 18 points, but the Lakers were just on a different level. Luka had this behind the back pass or behind his head to Gabe Vincent in the corner for a three. It was just beautiful basketball out there. And Luka put on the show. Now, my biggest concerns, I've talked about this with OKC, is lack of size at their forward position and their guard position. This is something you just can't ignore. And I think teams like the Lakers, the Celtics can exploit that, especially if you have guys who can play make, shoot the ball, create off the dribble, and you have different guys who can do that at an elite level. OKC can have trouble. Now, do I expect the Thunder to play this bad of defense going forward? No. Do I expect the Lakers to shoot 69% from three in the first half going forward on a consistent basis? No, I don't. But where the Lakers and a team like the Celtics can take advantage of OKC is at their wing and guard position. Because if those guys, are trying to create ball pressure, trying to create havoc, and they're still not creating those turnovers, and the team is just shooting really well, whether it's from three or from the mid-range, that's where they're going to have struggles. Also, the three-point variance. If they're not shooting well from three and they're struggling to generate shots and SJ is the only one out there creating off the dribble, then that's problematic because, again, Jalen Williams, we have to see if he's going to be a reliable second option in playoffs. Now, there's some numbers here from Clean the Glass where Jalen Williams on off the court. Now, on the court, out of 4,520 possessions, the offense rating for the Thunder is 116.1. When he's off the court, 2,807 possessions, 128.5 offense rating. So as you can see, they're better offensively without Jalen Williams on there. Now, if I'm Sam Presti and I'm going to the playoffs, and let's just say Jalen Williams has another rough playoff run, and I'm going to the offseason and I'm looking at upgrading my roster. I know I have 3 more years with SGA. I've got 3 more years with Jalen Williams. I've got 3 more with Chet. Those are my core guys. And I'm looking to make some changes. Now, SGA is going to turn 27 this year, and Jalen Williams is going to be 24. Now, Devin Booker will probably be on the market this offseason because the Suns are probably going to blow it up. At that point, if you're Sam Presti, do you pull the trigger to upgrade your offense? Because if you add a guy like Devin Booker, your offensive ceiling goes to a new level. Now, your defense might suffer a little bit, but you still got enough guys on this roster to make up the difference. But what you gain in that transaction is a better shot creator, somebody who can score off the dribble, and it takes pressure off of SGA. And the defense can't just suffocate and swarm SGA all day long. They have to respect Devin Booker. And you have another reliable option out there who can get his own bucket on a consistent basis. Now, you can wait and see if Jalen Williams will develop. I know his three-point percentage last year, I think it was at 43%. It's down to 36% this year. Now, he's still shooting 48% from the field, which is still solid. But you hope that Jalen Williams will take that next leap offensively. And if he doesn't, that's where concerns might start to creep in for OKC, especially if they go into the playoffs and they lose during their Western Conference run. They didn't even make the NBA Finals. Let's just say they meet the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals and they end up losing. And then you have to sit back and go, okay, this is the second time Luka beat us, and they had a better second option. So those are just some tough questions you're going to have to ask yourself during this upcoming offseason because a team like the Rockets have assets where they can go out and get a Devin Booker. So it can change so fast in the NBA where you feel really good. You feel that you have this window open, but all of a sudden it gets tighter and the competition gets even better. And it just gets harder for you as you go through the Western Conference and face these teams going forward. So if I'm OKC, I'm not going to sit back and be content. I would at least consider that option. I'm not saying you got to trade Jalen Williams if he does struggle in the playoffs, but you have to look at all your options and decide, okay, SJ is going to be 27. He's in his prime years, and we want to maximize those years for SGN. So just something to think about. Now, Chet could fill that role. I know he's young as well. So they just got to figure out, who's going to be that second option next to SGA. Should it be Chet? And should they keep Jalen Williams? Now, I think he's still really good defensively. And like I said earlier, I don't think OKC is going to be this bad defensively. I'm not giving up on them. I'm not going to overreact and say, oh my goodness, the Lakers are going to just wipe the floor off OKC. I don't think that whatsoever, because I think their defense will be much better, especially on Tuesday. I think they want to respond to this blow. And it's good for OKC because they haven't had a lot of adversity this year. And I don't know if I would mark this as adversity. More like, okay, we got to be on our A game come playoff time. And this is a good reminder. They lost to Houston, and now they've lost to Lakers. These are good losses because you want to get these out the way, and then you go into the playoffs sharper, and you learn from these. So I don't think it's a bad thing to go through a little bit of a cold streak, because every team goes through it. If you're just on a constant winning streak all year long and you're not facing any type of adversity, that can be problematic, especially when you get to the playoffs. But OKC just needs to be ready, because at the end of the day, offensively, they could face some challenges in the playoffs. Those are just facts, but I think they can make up for it on their defense. Now, I'm not going to take anything away from the Lakers because they absolutely dominate, but two sides can be true. The Lakers played really well. The Thunder weren't always sharp on defense, and some of it does, deserve love from the Lakers. But on the other side of it, OKC can be better on defense. So we shall see. I'm not going to, put too much stock into these games because we're close to the playoffs, and OKC probably wants to start resting guys soon. And the Lakers are obviously at a different level when it comes, or just to say desperation, because they're trying to keep that third seed. So the intensity might be a little bit different. However, you have to at least acknowledge the fact that OKC will have these same weaknesses come playoff time. Those are just facts, right? And if SGA is the only one scoring offensively for you, and you can't rely on a guy like Jalen Williams, where does your offense go after that? Who's going to step up? Who's going to contribute? And if Chet and Jalen Williams aren't consistent with scoring the basketball, taking the press off SGA, and your shooters are cold and they're not shooting well from three, all of a sudden the offense looks stale, it looks stagnant, and that's where things become very challenging for the Thunder. So we got to at least acknowledge that. But again, it is April, and we're a few weeks away from the playoffs, and I think this is a good wake-up call for the Thunder to say, you know what, we got to make sure we're ready, because if Jalen Williams, we're going to need him in the playoffs. He can't disappear. If he's going to play this bad in the playoffs and he's not going to be reliable, then you got to go into the offseason and consider, okay, he's got potential. Do we trust the process and develop him more? Or do we go get a guy like Devin Booker who will upgrade our offense and take our offense to a new level? Those are things you just got to consider if it ends up being that result for the Thunder in the playoffs. Hope you guys enjoyed this video too. I'd love to hear your thoughts about the outcome of this game between the Lakers and Thunder. Any concerns about OKC, and what are your thoughts about the Lakers' performance? Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.